1, 2, 3 o'clock, blah, blah, spot.
Hello and welcome to the Blah Blah Spot, your 100% English spoken podcast. Oh my God, I haven't said this sentence in a while, Fábio. Maybe 2 years?
Probably, yeah. This is 2025. Guess so.
Yeah, do you
Incredible.
think people still remember what the Blah Blah Spot is?
I don't think I remember what the blah blah spot is.
Okay, so just to refresh people's mind, what is the Blah Blah Spot?
Blah blah spot is a podcast from English in Brazil where you and me, or me and you, we have conversations about English, in English, or in English about English.
Yeah, I
Not
think I'm a
necessarily.
little bit confused, but that's it.
Yeah,
We're going to
me
speak
too.
in English here. We're going to be talking about social media today and how can platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube help you improve your language skills? Are there any hidden downsides that might slow your progress? Well, let's talk about it. Fabio and I are going to discuss real experiences and share useful tips and maybe even challenge some common assumptions. Woohoo! So, Fabio, which social media platforms do you use the most?
I think the one that I use the most will be Twitter. Okay, it's not Twitter anymore, it's X, and Instagram, and TikTok in this order. As Twitter is something that you do faster, you don't need any editing or something. I think I make more use of that one to create content because all you need is just an idea and write them down and post them.
Yes, I agree. It's much easier. And what about using platforms as a user, not as a creator? Which one do you use the most as a user to read or watch things?
English related topics or content, basically yours and from our team, Rodrigo, Isabel, even Laura sometimes. But Laura likes to publish pictures of herself at the gym, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and some other teachers that I know personally from here. People think I follow more people from this area, but I don't really. I try to stay far from them also because I don't want to be contaminated by their way of doing it. Some people may think, okay, but you should do that just to, to maybe have some ideas. I don't think so. Am I right or wrong?
I don't know. I don't think we have a right answer here. I think that's your way of thinking about it. I don't know. I think it's important to see what other people are doing. It's not that I will do exactly what they're doing. At least I can get some inspiration and I can observe what's trending. So I think as we work with social media, I think this is important. But I was trying to talk about using social media, not to create content because we are creators, but to consume content. So I think you are a heavy Twitter user because I know you, and so am I. I noticed that I was spending too much time on Twitter doing nothing special, just getting irritated by other people's comments, basically. So that's what Twitter was doing to me. So I opened Twitter because I don't know, I feel like not only me, but people who use social media, we feel like a pleasure when we refresh the page and we see new content. So we keep refreshing and refreshing and refreshing because we want to see something new. We feel good when we do this. But I noticed that I was getting really addicted to Twitter and other social media. And sometimes I had a feeling that, oh my God, I can't read a book now because I don't have time. I spent like 1 hour reading silly stuff on Twitter, getting irritated and doing nothing useful for my life. Do you sometimes feel this way?
Yeah, oh my God, I'm wasting my time doing this. No, the thing is that it's not because something is, it's silly, you shouldn't do it. We need silly stuff. Come on. We don't need to be like seeing or reading or watching things with some deep meaning or philosophical content and that. No, we need to see some stupid stuff. And there is no problem with that. As long as you don't only do it, right? But there's no problem with that. But obviously, what you said, it's really true. Some people tend to exaggerate, to overdo it. Yeah, sometimes I catch myself doing those things too much. Okay, that's why For example, when I want to read a book, what I do is I leave my phone in the bedroom and I go to the living room and I start reading and vice versa. Now I can tell you honestly that I don't need to do that. I just leave it on the desk or on the table and I go and start reading. I needed to start like this, a little bit radical, but now not so much.
So you really felt some effects of overusing social media when you started reading something, because I feel this. I'm not judging you. There's no judgment here because everybody's on the same boat. I feel like this. So sometimes I want to read a book. I start reading the book. I read 2 or 3 pages. I start getting sleepy. If I am reading something online, it's because I'm always tired at the end of the day because of my kids. I have too many things to do. And then, okay, so now I have some free time. Let me read something. I read 3 pages and I get sleepy. If I am reading something online on Twitter or on other social media platforms, I will not feel sleepy, sorry. I will read more and more, use more, and watch more videos and watch more videos. And then the next morning, I feel a little guilty because I should be at least sleeping. Not only, doing something, studying or watching something meaningful, maybe sleeping or looking at the wall, because our eyes need some rest too. But social media, they don't let you do this. It's like an addiction.
Yeah, and I have a theory about that. The thing about social media, okay, let's talk about Instagram, for example. It's such a dynamic thing. I mean, you are all the time swiping down or up, right? And watching videos and videos, and then you see funny videos and the algorithm is not idiot. So it will always
the algorithm is very good.
It will always be recommending things that, okay, this user spent some time watching this. Let's give this user something more like this. And when you are reading a book, it's something that is only the pages. It's somehow monotonous. You go there, it's not the same amusement park as the social media. I understand that.
But I think the bad part about reading is starting a new book, because once you've started the book, it gets, it tends to be like the amusement park again. But starting a new book, it takes a lot of effort, maybe 20 pages for you to get involved in the story, what's been told. So I think you have to be strong to read at least 20 pages, and then you will want to read more, maybe.
And it should be something that you really like. It's not reading a book just for the sake of reading a book. Okay, I'm going to read a book. Just all of a sudden you realize, oh, what a boring thing. I did that last week. I was reading a book about Lampião. The name is Cangaceiros, Coiteiros e Volantes. Very interesting book. I like this story of Brazil. But at a certain point I said, well, this is not the way I want it. The way it was written was not. And there is no problem if you simply, okay, I'm going to stop doing that, because you do that with series. We do that with movies. Why not with books sometimes? And then you finally grab a book you like, and then you just go. Like, I'm reading this one here, for example, that I bought yesterday. Because I like the history of the world. So the world's history, it's Mengele, a história completa do Anjo da Morte de Auschwitz. It drips blood from this book. It's incredible. And I started reading, I'm on page 80. Now, I started today reading, last night. You get absorbed by the way it is written. So
tell me about your reading habits then. I'm very curious to learn a lot, to learn something from you, because you told me that in January you read 5 or 6 books. Your personal record, right?
That was my personal record. I never imagined. And we are not talking about small things. Books like, I read the trilogy Escravidão by Laurentino Gomes. Okay, in January I read volume 2 and 3 from Escravidão. I read O Quarto Reich, about the menace of the Nazis after the Second World War. Fascismo Brasileira by Pedro Doria. O Caso Altamira by Ivan Mizanzuki, which is a great, crazy investigation story that took place in Brazil.
As you're talking about what you're reading, let me just share what I'm reading now. I'm reading 2 books in Portuguese too, which is a coincidence. Não foi isso que eu quis dizer, which was written by my friend Carol. She's been to my podcast. She's a Portuguese teacher, and her book is very interesting. I love her book. And the other book is actually a fictional book, 1984 by George Orwell. This one is in Portuguese. It's a classic. It's where Big Brother came from. But you know what? I know the book is amazing, but I read only 15 pages and I started to feel, really sleepy. So I stopped. But I am sure that once I reach the 20 or 30 pages, I'm going to be very involved in the story, and I will never stop reading it. So I hope it helps. I hope it happens again, because this used to happen in the past. But as I'm a little addicted to social media, I hope it works.
Yeah, I used to have problems to read, really. I am a Ritalin user because I was diagnosed with, how can I say that now? ADHD?
I think so. TDAH.
TDAH. It was always hard for me to keep reading a book, and I would get to the end of a page and I would realize I didn't remember anything I had read. I started taking the Ritalin, and also I learned some techniques for reading. Because, and this is interesting, okay? Biggest problem when people are reading is that when they read, if you, without any help, if you start just moving your eyes sideways from left to right or otherwise, your eyes, they don't move like smoothly like that, right? They go like this, right? So when you were reading is the same. So it is very common for you to just miss the line, right? Where you are. If you use something like a pen, for example, to guide your reading, you will see that if you follow the pen with your eyes will go smoothly. And then you will never miss any line in the book. So that's what I've been doing. And I've
Using
been
a pen.
Using a pen. You can use your finger, whatever. As long as you can guarantee that you won't miss any line and you won't skip any line. You are practicing. And when you see you are reading and understanding and reading like 60 pages a day, 100 pages a day.
Wow, that's an amazing tip.
It
That's
is
very good.
good. Yeah.
And you know, TDAH in English is ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
You know, it's incredible because I have this thing and I don't remember the name of it. This is one of the characteristics of having this. You don't remember the name of the disease.
That explains everything. So let's talk about the good side of using social media. How do you think social media can help people learn English, Fábio?
I try to compare with when I was studying English. We didn't have internet, let alone social media. I always wanted to have access to things to read in English. I wanted to listen to people speaking English. So it was not that easy. You needed to I would go to the airport to buy magazines in English, for example. Nowadays, you are a click away from everything you need. And when you have a contact that is dedicated to teaching language, it's the best thing. You just need, sometimes we are among so many things that you get a little dizzy. You don't know what to do. We stay like chickens without their heads, right? What are we going to do? 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 I think that the first thing you have to do, you have to identify the ones that talk to you more intimately. And then you could just go there. If you like Carina's way to teach and to give the tips, just go and stay with her beautiful tips and smile. If you like my blue eyes, you can talk to me and then you listen to me. This is very...
Or both of us.
Or both of us. Why not?
Which is better, right?
Which is much better. Come on. One thing that people should understand is that they shouldn't see the social media that teach English as English courses. Okay, like for example, I am learning English. How do you learn English? I'm learning English following this person here. No, these are only tips to help you learn English if you are already learning. My English tips on social media don't want to replace proper courses like English in Brazil, for example.
By the way, if you want to be our student, yes, that was an amazing moment to promote the course. If you want to learn English with us and from us, just come and join our course. The link is always in the description. Fábio is one of the teachers in the Conversation Club, so you will have conversation lessons with Fábio and the other teachers from our team, as well as classes with me and recorded lessons. It's a whole learning package. Just click the link in the description box for more info and join us. We can't wait to have you with us. So you were talking about teachers and English tips on social media. Just go a little bit further because you can also learn English by following famous people who are not talking about English, but they create content in English. So, for example, if you love soccer, why don't you follow, I don't know, famous soccer players, American soccer, or other nationalities who speak English as a second language even. So just follow them, read the captions, try to interact with this person, leave a comment. So this is a way to practice your English too. Touch with the language. Follow, I don't know, people on Twitter. You know who I like to follow?
English teacher Fábio Emerim.
Also, Twitter Fábio Emerim, but I was
Oh.
thinking of Liam Gallagher, the vocalist of Oasis, the band. He's a very, very interesting person to follow on Twitter
Yes.
because I don't know, do you follow him?
Yeah, I follow him. And it's very funny
Is
because
that
sometimes he just says Rasta.
Yeah, and sometimes I spend like 2 minutes trying to understand three lines because he uses lots of slang words, and it's also British English and
his
abbreviations.
Mancunian.
It's very hard to understand him. So
Yeah.
me as an advanced speaker, I like following him because it's a challenge for
nice.
me. But I also follow some politicians. I follow Donald Trump. I follow Barack Obama. I follow all of them because I like to see what they write. I like to see how they communicate. I like to observe these things. So you can follow them on Twitter and also on Instagram or TikTok. I don't know if they are on TikTok because actually I have a TikTok account, but I don't use TikTok. I never open my TikTok. You know what I do? I upload the video and I run away. You know why? Because the algorithm is amazing. So it knows exactly what I want to watch. And if I start watching 1, 2, 3 videos, I'm going to spend like 1 hour watching TikTok videos and I can't control myself. So I decided to not use TikTok anymore. So I don't.
TikTok is very weird. I remember that when I first started using TikTok, it started sending me lots of videos of beautiful, pretty girls in bikinis dancing. And probably because in my bio it says that I'm a man. Of course, there's no problem with that, but it's a little weird, especially if I'm by my wife and all of a sudden there was this girl dancing. And then I say, okay, but this is a little weird. Let me just, and then I started, I don't remember what exactly I did. Not dislike, but I dislike it. I think I disliked, or I don't know exactly what I did. The algorithm could understand that I'm not into that kind of content. So all of a sudden they started sending men dancing in underwear. And then I said, okay, it's a come on, right? It's between the devil and the deep blue sea here. Come on! And then I said, okay, where are the girls? I need to like them back because I don't want to open my bloody TikTok and see men naked, right? If you like it, no problem. But that's not the kind of thing. It takes a little while so that the algorithm learns what you want to see, really.
Once it learns, it's very good. It becomes very good, very accurate. So the algorithm knows that I love comedy. So, people falling or people, doing silly stuff. This is something, I never stop watching because I've always liked videocacetadas, Faustão. I've always liked it. And nowadays we have this on social media, so I can't stop watching it. I laugh a lot.
I love when people scare other people. It's amazing. It's one of the funniest thing in the world.
Pegadinha do Silvio Santos.
Yes.
But let's go back to our main focus here, which is learning English on social media. Do you think watching short videos in English is an effective way to learn? Do you think it helps, or maybe it's not good? What do you think? Short videos like 30 seconds or 1 minute videos.
Sure. Yeah, especially if the message is well built. If something is said to you in a way that is smart, that you will remember, even less than 30 seconds is but the problem is that we know that it should be something brilliant, and that's not the case. Most of times you have things that are only short videos, but they don't say really much, but sometimes you can learn. That's why I try to avoid very short videos if I understand that thing is not that great.
And have you ever learned a new word or phrase from social media? I have. I can't remember now.
Tell me.
No, I can't remember the word. But
okay.
Probably,
sorry.
Even from other English teachers, very advanced content.
Probably I have. One thing that I learned, I don't remember from whom exactly, was that thing. It was a very silly thing, but it was so important. Like, open the book to page 3, for example. We don't say, I think it was from you, right?
Well, I have a video about it.
You have, yeah, so it was you see?
Yeah, that's funny.
I learned from you, Carina.
Yeah, so do you remember the rule?
Because open is an action verb.
An action verb.
So you want to have a to after that. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, so open the book.
It sounds so wrong.
Page. Yeah, but you can also say at in British English. Open your book at page something. But you cannot say open on. You can say it's on page 30. No, not
Yeah.
even in. Yeah. This is something I learned, and then I created the content based
We
on
are
what I had learned.
always learning.
Always
And
learn.
I'm glad
you know
I
what?
learned that from you.
Yeah, I think it was from me because I remember I made a video about
Yeah,
it.
it was.
But
So
you
it
know
was
what,
you.
Fabio? It's funny because I taught you something. Probably, definitely have taught me lots of stuff too. So I
Oh,
learned a
yeah.
lot from you, from our conversations, from following you on Instagram and other social medias.
Yeah.
Social media. We say it in a singular form. Did you know that?
Yeah.
It was a slip of the tongue now. Deslizei aqui na
Foi
língua.
resbalo da língua.
Resvalo da língua que eu falei social medias, mas a gente fala social media
We all
in the
commit
singular
mistakes,
form.
folks.
Oh,
It's not because we
I
are
probably
teachers.
made-
We're not, but there is only one perfect person that's been to this world, Paul McCartney.
Some people would say Jesus. You
Yeah,
said Paul.
probably, yeah. But I've never been to a show of Jesus. Anyway.
Anyway, I've probably made 1,000 mistakes in this conversation, but I think it's a nice opportunity for you to hear us, to listen to us speaking English and practice your English, because our followers, they always say that it's easier to understand us for a number of reasons. But one, we try to speak a little bit more carefully and slowly so that they can understand us.
It's not the case
And
today.
two, yeah, probably. I think we're
We
speaking
are
very
speaking
naturally.
blow fast.
But our vocabulary tends to be a little different. We're Brazilian, so they can identify with us. So yeah, for a number of reasons.
Sure.
But there are also many native speakers that I consider easy to understand. For example, English with Lucy. I love English with Lucy. Lucy is a teacher from England. She's so pretty. You probably know that her. No, do you know her? It's English with Lucy. She has more
Isn't
than
she
10
a
million.
brunette?
No, she's blonde. And she has more than 10 million followers on her YouTube channel. So she's really huge. It's so easy to understand her. She speaks very carefully. She speaks a little bit more slowly and in an articulate way. So it's very easy to understand her. So here's a suggestion for you guys. If you want to follow a teacher who speaks British English, but it's easy to understand, English with Lucy.
Yeah, there is this guy, I forgot his name, but he has a very big nose and he's British and he's really good. I have to look for his name. I forgot, but he's really good. He teaches Cockney, some accents from there, some
Big nose.
yeah.
It's not Ali, right?
No, he doesn't have a big nose, does he?
No, he doesn't. But
Do you have a big nose?
no, he doesn't have a big nose, but he does teach Cockney English and other stuff. And I like his English too. It's very easy to understand him too. Oh, if you want to follow an American teacher whose English is easy to understand, perhaps you should follow Rachel's English because she teaches pronunciation. She's an expert in pronunciation and her English is very, very easy to understand. And also English with Vanessa. I have already subscribed to his channel.
Which Rachel are you talking about?
Rachel's English. She's very, very good. Okay, so now let's talk about the bad aspects of social media to learn English or any language. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by too much information on social media?
Yeah, this is something, and we haven't learned how to deal with it. No one has. This is one of the reasons why we feel so tired at the end of the day, because we are being exposed to so many things, like all the time. It is nice to have access to information. I love information. We've been learning now how to get rid or how to avoid the bad things, because in the middle of the good stuff, we're going to see bad things, right? So this is one of the struggles nowadays. I mean, you have to know how to filter whatever you want to see. Is it a good answer?
I think it is definitely. When I was, the store Stock, I was waiting for package and I saw the line. There were 10 people. I was the only one who was not looking at the phone. 9 people had their heads down while waiting for their packages. And I remember thinking, oh my God, the world is sick. People are going insane. People cannot stand not doing something. People cannot stand looking at the wall or looking at the window to wait for the package. They need to be learning something, watching something, reading something. And I was like, my God, this is just insane. So that's why at the end of the day, we're so tired. I'm always including myself in this, insanity. But I have already started some good practices for me because I felt that I was really tired at the end of the day. Because of course, we have the excuse of working with social media. So we have to know what's happening. But I think it was was too much. I was really feeling overwhelmed by the amount of information, by the amount of, news and even vocabulary and stuff. And I decided to take breaks. So, you know what? At this moment, I am off of Twitter, I haven't deleted my account, but I deleted the app. The app, not the app. I deleted the app from my home screen. It's still there. It's on my phone, but it's harder to find. But I decided to do something to make it harder for me to use this social media, which was really an addiction for me. I was like, oh, I have nothing to do. Let me open Twitter. Let's see what's happening. And nowadays, everybody's talking about Big Brother Brazil. We're not learning anything from this. So this is something I decided to do. And when I'm, I used to have lunch looking at my social media. And this is something I never do nowadays. I decided to stay away from my phone while we eating. Even the kids, Mateus, he's 5 years old now, and he was kind of getting addicted to watching his tablet. He has an iPad. I really control the amount of time he uses his iPad to watch cartoons. He doesn't have a phone. He doesn't touch my phone. My phone is mine. My 2-year-old daughter, never. She doesn't watch anything except for TV, which I think is fine because it's totally different. When the child is watching TV, the child will watch the TV for like 15 minutes and then they start playing and watching. They start talking and watching. But if they're watching an iPad or something like a phone, it's like they get mesmerized. They don't look at you anymore, which is very, very scary.
Yeah, I get when I'm traveling or something, I see kids are inside their cars looking at their tablets. They are not even looking outside to see the landscape, even if it's a scenic trip. Both have their tablets or their phones and they don't engage with their parents. They don't look outside. It is really weird. I remember when we didn't have this technology back then, but it was so cool. We would play songs and we would, let's see who sees a church first. And there I see a church. Okay, that's, you know what I mean?
And I had a game with Jackie, my sister. Whenever we see a person wearing orange, we have to say B. That's it. So we were looking at everyone. Oh, I won. I saw the person first. So that was, a silly game, but we were not.
It was
we were getting
funny.
the spread. Yeah. So we had a very long trip from Porto Alegre, but I know it's hard to travel with kids, But we came all the way from Porto Alegre to São Paulo by car. This in January, like 15 days ago. We stopped in Santa Catarina. So this was the first thing we did. We decided to leave very, very early in the morning because they were sleeping and they kept on sleeping in the car. So it was like 2 hours with them sleeping. Then when they woke up, here's a suggestion for parents who don't want their kids to watch tablets or cell phones in the car. I put stories for them in the radio. So we have podcasts for kids. So we were listening to stories because sometimes we don't know what to do anymore. So when things are getting, a little desperate, let's listen to a story. And my kids, they love horror stories, but horror stories for kids, of course, with witches or a wolf or something, blah, blah. So there is a channel here on YouTube. It's called Podcast Histórias. Era uma vez podcast. Era uma vez podcast. It was in Portuguese and they were really engaged in this activity. They were listening to podcasts and we were at peace, for a very long time. So of course they will listen to 1 or 2 or 3 episodes and then we were like, okay, I don't want to listen anymore. And that's fine. Then let's listen to some music. Let's, count how many yellow cars you see on the street. So on the road.
They don't sleep?
Yeah, after lunch. That's why we decided to leave very, very early in the morning because they were sleeping and then they kept on sleeping in the car and then they woke up and we started our activities and also food. Bring them lots of food. Give them something to eat.
That's it. The only one who can sleep or can't stop doing anything is the driver. Did you drive or only Anselmo drove?
No. Just Anselmo. I don't feel very, safe driving. The second part of the trip was a little scary because it started raining, very, very heavily. We were actually scared because when you have lots of trucks on the road, you can see anything. And we had anywhere to stop. So I was kind of desperate at that part of the road of the trip. And of course, I couldn't let the kids know that I was desperate, but I was in panic because we couldn't see anything. But I'm glad that Anselmo is a very good driver and he was calm. He said, come on, take it easy. I know what I'm doing. But it was a little scary. So, Fabio, I think we're reaching the end of our conversation. Oh, it was so nice talking to you. But don't leave, guys who are listening or watching us. Now I'm talking to the audience.
No, I won't leave either.
Okay, because I'm glad you're not leaving now, because we're having this special episode of the Blah Blah Spot, because we're actually celebrating more than 200 episodes of Way Ahead and also the Blah Blah Spot that Fabio has been creating for you over the last 3 years. I don't know.
Yeah, since December 2020.
Oh my God, really?
How about that? Yeah.
4
December
years.
2020.
Fabio is taking a break now. It's not a goodbye. It's a see you later, alligator. But he's taking a break from the podcast, not from the Conversation Club and social media. It's just so tell us about this experience and how you feel after creating so many episodes.
It's something that I really enjoy doing. I've always liked to communicate. And when in December 2020, you invited me to start this project together with you, I thought it was a great opportunity for me to, now let's do it. Now I have some direction here, and I will do it. And then I started doing it. We did for some time together, the Blah Blah Spot. We had the starting up that was the basic podcast with basic tips, English tips, and then Way Ahead, obviously because of the name, as the name suggests, it was way ahead. So yeah, right. It's very easy to understand.
You're very good at explaining the names.
Yeah, isn't it? So and then I could explore news in English. I could explore cold cases, mysteries. I interviewed some people. I interviewed Rick Beato. We interviewed together Álvaro Pereira Jr. We interviewed the girls from Still the Look. We interviewed Candice, our great Candice Soldatelli. Ana Hikari, yes, Jackie. Wow. I mean, if we forget some name here, please forgive us, because a lot of people. I interviewed that great mortician from United States,
Yeah.
So,
and that was so cool. And all the episodes are available at the English in Brazil podcast.
Yeah.
So just type English in Brazil podcasts on Spotify or what else? Deezer, YouTube Music. Sorry, YouTube Music.
No, yeah.
And then you will find English in Brazil podcasts. So you have a lot of content created by Fábio and also by Rodrigo.
Rodrigo, yeah, I would say.
Fábio, então, let's switch to Portuguese. Ai,
vamos.
Estou falando minha língua materna, que delícia.
Oi.
Então, gente, o Fábio tá saindo agora por um tempo, he's taking a break.
Isso.
Mas todos os episódios, gente, tem 200 e quantos? Falou? 240 episódios?
Tem mais de 250 episódios do Starting Up e Way Ahead. Fora os nossos, né? Que ficaram também, do Blah Blah Spot, e também os do Rodrigo, que é o Behind the Language. Isso.
É isso. Então, assim, gente, só sigam lá, porque vocês vão poder escutar no carro, escutar onde vocês quiserem. É esse contato com a língua inglesa que a gente tá tanto falando aqui. As redes sociais estão aí para nos ajudar, mas também usem com parcimônia, né? Não fiquem usando só para ficar rodando a tela.
Usem com parcimônia, e parcimone também.
Parcimônia e simária?
Isso, parcimônia e parcimária também. Uma baita piada
gente.
Que eu fiz agora. Eu te interrompi, eu interrompi a Carina pra falar uma piada boa dessa.
Foi muito boa, eu tô assim, ó, morrendo de rir por dentro, tá? Por fora eu posso estar parecendo assim, mas por dentro eu tô rindo bastante.
Isso.
Fábio, eu só quero te agradecer oficialmente por todos esses episódios maravilhosos. A gente vai sentir tua falta, Fábio.
Espero que sim.
A gente continua em contato nas redes sociais. Teacher Fábio Emerim nas redes sociais.
Yes.
Né? No Twitter
mesmo.
É dicas de inglês, né?
Dicas de inglês, exatamente. O resto é Teacher Fábio Emerim. Sigam-me lá. E
venham pro English em Brasil pra fazer aula com o Fábio.
Isso mesmo. Aí vocês vão tratar diretamente com esta pessoa que vos fala.
É isso, gente. Thank you so much for watching or listening to us. E a gente se vê no próximo episódio. Thank you.
Bye!